that's red clover, okay? You see how big the leaves are? If you notice in the middle of the leaf, you see that big white V? That's the positive identification of that plant, the big white V. You can tell how good that would be for fire. It's more of a flash tinder, which means that when you hit it with a spark, just poof, goes real quick. So if you're going to use this for any kind of a fire starting material, you're going to have something that's going to go as quick as it does and last a little bit longer. You know, this is just something to jumpstart a fire, something to get it going. I do not like to use this stuff in anything that would be like a tinder bundle of any kind. They're going to be blown to life because it gets a little waxy if you want to do it like that.
What is it?
A tinder bundle?
No, what was the problem?
It gets a little waxy. If you're blowing a tinder bundle to life, it gets a little waxy.
Okay, I see.
It won't. It's, for some reason, it just won't. I have a hard time blowing these things to life. Okay, so like I said, in different stages of life, cattail can be used in early spring, which is it's gonna start popping now. You're gonna start seeing the cattails pop up. You're gonna see two heads basically on these. Okay, so this would be the female end. Up higher would be the male end. Okay. And that is the edible part in the early spring. It's almost time for it to start. Those can be eaten boiled in water, eaten like corn on the cob.
The male end?
Amazing, yeah.
That's kind of disappointing. You know what I mean?
Well, this plant contains both ends, you know what I mean?
Like what could the female end be?
Those are technically rhizomes, okay? Those rhizomes are absolutely edible. They're almost as important as those parsnips that are behind you, okay? This is one of the things that you're going to get high complex carbohydrates, starches, things like that. If you take that whole rhizome, you cut it, char it over a fire, unwrap it, and inside is going to be almost like mashed potatoes. Just eat that right up, guys. That's wild food. It's about as pure as you're going to get too. Feminine issues, feminine bleeding, things like that. A blood staunch, an internal blood staunch, things like that.
It's used for feminine issues.
Right, but
It's an antibiotic too.
Alright guys, what we got here is autumn olive. This is an extremely invasive plant. Okay, obviously it's a shrub. Okay, this wood is awesome for building material, for cordage, all kinds like that. I'm gonna pass this around to you guys. What I want you guys to look at is I want you to look at the underside of the leaves and see how silver, shiny silver, the underside of the leaf is. That's a young plant. This is young still. The leaves will get a lot bigger than that. This is an important plant to know because this is autumn olive. The reason why it's called autumn olive is because it fruits in the autumn. When nothing else is around and there's nothing else to eat, this is plentiful. And it fruits out into a small berry. Berry and seeds are edible, and seeds are supposed to be eaten. That's part of the food. It's part of Again, the reason why we show this plant this time of year is because it's springtime. It's popping now. It's starting. This is the beginning of the identification progress. Okay? But as long as you're looking underneath the underside of that leaf, you're not going to misidentify this plant. And if you do, the only thing you're going to misidentify it to is buffalo berry, which is edible as well. As long as you have a berry with silver flakes on it, little dots.
This plant's really good for seasonal colds and things like that. You can actually make a tincture out of the leaves and flower heads.
Okay, what's a tincture?
Tincture is where you take the phytochemicals of the plant and you extract them with something like an alcohol, a strong alcohol, like Everclear, or you know, something that has a high proof.
And
you're extracting the phytochemicals that are within the plant itself that you know, have this immune stimulating effects.
the alcohol soluble parts of this plant.
Yeah.
There's different methods of preparations when you're talking about medicinal. There's tinctures, there's decoctions, and there is infusions. Those are the three simple ones. There's lots of others, but this is the basic classes of the three that I focus on. So what he's talking about is a tincture. That's a method of preparation. He's talking about soaking the plant in alcohol of some kind, a strong alcohol of some kind, to extract the alcohol soluble minerals that we're looking for medicinals.
From what I know, the leaves and the flower heads are edible. This will normally have a yellow flower. late in the fall time. And actually, right here is what's a
Goal.
I always
G-U-A-L-L.
It's a gull. It's like a larva pocket, and you can actually take these and use them for primitive fishing kits and things like that. They'll actually float on top of the water. You can attach your line to it, and
Primitive
it's a
bobber, guys.
good
Primitive
strike
bobber.
indicator. So
In a basic class though. So late in the day or something like that, that'd be probably the worst ideal ever. Honestly, in my opinion, it'd be the worst ideal to do, period, in the winter time. But that's one of the faux pas that we run into when you're trying to harvest cattails. It's gonna be late in the year, winter time or something like that. Last thing you're gonna wanna do is go in there and try to get food. Especially in some kind of a 72-hour situation when you think you're gonna affect self-rescue or you're gonna be rescued within 3 days. You can die within 3 hours of that. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of that situation, how far in there. I've been in there. 3 feet from the shore, it goes 10 feet down. So just wanted to kind of show you guys that while there's a plant up here to see. If you dig deep, this rootstock can go down 5-10 feet sometimes. It can be this big around, or it can be this big around. Be huge. It varies in size and weight. This is a young plant. Obviously, this is a first-year plant. This plant has 2 life cycles. Take a look. Yeah, I on my neck. Yeah. Usually I just go home and have the leaf it, you know. But anyway, this plant, the leaves are actually edible, and this time of the year is the best time to eat these leaves. Let me explain something to you guys. In the early spring, that's when your edibles come out. Okay? When the plants are astringent and they're bitter, the springtime, they don't need that astringency. They have that powerful bitterness, that astringency, as a bug repellent. Springtime, there's not very many bugs out, right? They're not getting attacked the way that they usually do in late summer. So they don't have that high potency of astringency this time of year. So that's when they're edible. That's when they're best tasting, I guess I should say. Later on in the year, that's when they start developing that high astringency. That's when the medicinal properties of that plant come out. Even though there are still some astringencies to this plant, later on in the year, that's when the high medicinal properties are going to start showing. But this plant, like I said, the rosette, all you have to do is dig down to this rosette and get the root. Like I said, the leaves can be used as a salad, and this time of year it'd probably be the best. And the rootstock of this is absolutely edible, just like mashed potatoes or anything like that.
And you just eat that raw.
Well, you can eat this raw, but I would rather peel it and slice it, fry it, boil it.
But the leaves you can just eat raw.
The
leaves you can.
You can eat raw. They're really bitter.
Huh?
They actually used to call it butter dog because
they use
butter
it.
in it to just
That's
preserve it.
broadleaf dog.
Well,
that's broadleaf. Yeah, the butter dog,
okay.
broadleaf dog.
Well, it's better to boil them in their late stage. And
So why is this plant my top 10? Actually, it's my #1 go-to. So medicinally, this plant is extremely important. As a blood stop, for one. If you remember, we were talking about the goldenrod back at the pond or back at the parking lot. That's a really good important blood stop, right? Yarrow is probably 10 times better. And for cuts that exceed what I would use Yarrow for, or goldenrod for, that's when I'm going to go to Yarrow.
Was this the one that was the Romans used, or Spartans, or whatever?
Achilles.
Achilles, yeah.
I'm getting into that. You're right there, yeah. So this plant gets about this tall. It has a white umbrella. Okay, and when I say umbrella, I mean something that's almost the size of your hand, a big flower like that, okay? Those plants, until you know what you're doing, I want you to stay very, very far from, okay? A white umbrella plant is about the most poisonous plant on the continental United States, called poison hemlock. If you mistake this plant with that plant, one leaf will kill you. Socrates, the Greek Socrates, when he was in prison, it was his time to go, basically, and he asked his servant to make him a tea of hemlock to kill him. Okay? Very, very dangerous. If you guys are out here and you want to mess with plants, you have a responsibility to yourself and your family to get the knowledge and be with a professional. One slip up can be deadly. And I mean, this is one of them. This plant, if you know what you're doing, there's no way you're going to misidentify it. If you don't know what you're doing and you possibly misidentify it, you're dead. This will kill you. This is no joke.
Was there any surefire identifying feature?
Repetitive.
Does this flower when it matures?
Yeah, this flowers when it matures, and that's what I'm talking about, that big white umbrella flower.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I was right.
But this stage of its life, as long as you know what you're doing, I know that this is yarrow. I've been doing this for a long time, but it's possible at this stage of life to misidentify this with poison hemlock if you don't know what you're doing. Okay? This plant is extremely astringent, and when you taste it, you can taste that almost like aspirin taste. But you can tell when you bite
Not
this.
poison hemlock, right?
No, you're good. You can tell. Oh. No, you can taste that. It's a medicinal. You can taste. That's medicine.
Yeah.
Right.
Astringent.
So this
like
is one
Listerine.
of, as far as the blood stop goes, this is one of the biggies. This will stop to the bone cuts from bleeding if packed into there. The flowers and the leaves, highly antimicrobial, so it's going to help fight infections. It's also anti-inflammatory, externally and internally. Headaches, bone aches, muscles, all that stuff from working like a dog, making shelters in the woods. A tea of this stuff is going to help that pain and swelling.
How much would you need to eat for that?
To eat, I would do teas, but I wouldn't do like,
Have a toothache.
huh?
Have a toothache.
I would take probably a whole, right now,
Yeah.
take a whole leaf of that, take a whole stalk, and chew it and pack that to the lip. But yeah, the anti-inflammatory properties of this, colds and coughs, aches from flus, like, oh, I just don't feel good. This will help. You know, it's not a miracle cure, guys, but it will help.
I used to make Yarrow tea when I was working on the trucks at night. And I had really bad back pain because, you know, 1,000 asses have sat in those seats, you know, day in and day out. And I made it, and it was almost like a yellow, like a Mountain Dew color, and it takes away all your back pain. I mean, for me, it did. I made it kind of strong, so, but, you know, headaches, things like that. I mean, it works great for back pain. I know that for sure.
I like the way it tastes.
I do too.
And kind of an Indian state of mind for about 5 or 6 days, but anyway.
Kind of
But
emotion kind of feeling.
obviously it's called May apple for a reason. There's times of the year where it'll grow, it'll split, and I don't see a split yet. And when it splits, in the middle of that split, it'll flower. And then after that, it'll bud out to an apple, basically.
You can see where the stalk kind of looks like it's ready, like that one right there.
Yeah, usually key identifier.
Like it's close to splitting.
The scup cabbage. But anyway, when that apple matures, it'll get a yellow tinge to it. The tick. Yep, the old bastards.
I'm on number 2.
I'm probably covered, guys.
I'm probably up on my nuts by now.
Yeah, it's just part of it. Part of it, you know. Anyways, when that apple matures and it gets a yellow tinge to it, it is edible. Okay, I say that, but I never mess with a plant that can possibly be toxic or poisonous in any time of the year. That being said, if you had to, then you had to. But okay, even though that plant is matured and it's ripe, you're still ingesting that toxin. You're still ingesting forms of that toxin, even in lower levels. So if you were to eat, you know, half a wheelbarrow of this stuff, you're still gonna get sick. You know what I mean? It's possible to eat, but you're still gonna ingest toxins. So I just stay away from it, period.
He does that all the time just to build up his resistance.
There you go, there you go.
So there's these.
This can be eaten just like it is. This is another plant that I want you guys to kind of be wary of, because there are some lookalikes in this stage. So you absolutely know what you're looking for, or unless you're with a professional, watch out.
19.
Yeah. This is an edible, it's salad green, things like that. The seeds can be used as a seasoning for fish, meat, stuff like that. Makes them awesome. Awesome.
Are these small plants the same?
Yeah, that's all garlic mustard. Okay, this plant,
Garlic mustard.
this is the first year, okay, so it has that leaf shape. The second year is almost completely different. The second year is what you're going to be looking for when you're looking for edible seeds and stuff like that. So, but these are like greens for salad greens.
Does it taste like garlic or mustard?
Yeah, real garlicky kind of. It's a mustard plant that tastes garlicky.
I want another one of those horseradish.
Huh?
Chickweed.
I'm not gonna do that. There's a
You get your 2 for it.
plant. Make sure you get the right one. You ain't gonna get it that way. You gotta dig. He's interactive. That's cool.
That's a hemlock.
If you dig your fingers down into the soil right below it and just kind of hook up.
Yeah, 1 inch. Yeah. That you got to get about 40 or 50 more of them for a meal. You're gonna be there all day, dude. Man, you got the Shango too. You're knifed out, ain't you, brother?
Gotta do a video on the sheath.
Oh, right.
Sense of freaking razor blade.
Yeah, I like
it. 90-degree spine.
Those don't proceed through the summer, do they?
No, they'll be dead here in about a month.
This,
You won't even find that plant in about a month.
So this is pretty average size?
That's fully grown. Fully grown. That's the end of that plant's life. So that's you get them while you can.
Another 3 weeks. Gonna come out here and fucked it up.
One of the plants that are absolutely deadly toxic, and this will kill. This is called bloodroot. Okay, it is possible to touch the plant. It's not like, you know, I touch it, I'm gonna pass out and die. It's not like that. But this is called bloodroot. This is probably one of the most easiest plants to identify, just because of the very specific leaf shape. Okay. This is also one of the most medicinally useful plants that we can have out in the woods.
That will kill you.
Well, possibly, absolutely. The reason why is, oh, ow, if I dig down here very shallow, it's not very deep at all. Oh, this one's gonna make a liar out of me. But there's a rhizome, and now that I'm doing this, I cannot touch my eyes. I cannot lick my fingers or anything like that, okay? But this plant is very useful to me, like I said, when I'm out in the woods, because of this bulb right here. Okay, so the reason why it's called bloodroot is because of this rhizome, not root. And if I break this in half, you can see all that? It's gonna start leaking red, okay? That bloodroot, this is something that you can just stick in your pack, in something, and use it when needed. This is one of the most powerful antifungals in the woods. You're walking in the woods, hiking, jogging, what have you, you're gonna get fungal issues, even ringworm sometimes. This, put on ringworm, within 2 days will knock it out. Plain and simple. It's not gonna be there anymore. Athlete's feet, if you put this in a wash of some kind, a cold infusion, and you wash that athlete's feet with it, wash your feet with this, it'll knock that athlete's foot out. A side of caution, any external use of this stuff is going to be extremely harmful and possibly deadly.
External?
Okay. Internal, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any internal use of, I'm sorry.
Holy
I apologize. Any internal use of this plant.
How do I get that under my fucking thumb?
Yeah, could possibly turn out to be fatal, okay? That being said, I mean, even on a wound, an open wound, you don't want to get this in an open wound. I got a cut on my finger. I'm being very careful right now. It could make you sick, you know. But if I was, this would kill me if I popped this. I'd be dead. But that being said, this is also a extremely popular additive to pretty much all the toothpaste you've ever had in your mouth. Has some kind of bloodroot in it. Just because it's that powerful and antifungal. Use it for the funguses in the mouth and things like that. But we're talking about parts per million. You know, but yeah, this very, very obviously identified from the leaf shape. But all right, when everybody was a kid, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, this was my favorite time of the year because the violets would come up.
It's Matt's favorite time of the year too.
Edible. Very it's one of the things like, okay, a wild edible plants taste bad. I gotta eat it. Violets taste wonderful.
That'd probably make a good tea, wouldn't it, too?
It makes a subtle tea.
Yeah,
Very subtle tea.
Going over that?
I was going to. Why don't you go ahead and do it?
Okay.
In a minute. I want you, if you're going to do that, do the rootstock and the big gallbladder, stuff like that, blah, blah. But when you guys are passing that around, the stem of that plant is edible. You can go ahead and nibble on that stem, and it's a sweet taste, very sweet taste. The flower is edible. The flower can be used in teas, things like that. Makes a subtle tea. It's not like it's a powerful tea you're gonna taste a lot of. There you go. Tastes good to me. It tastes sweet.
Want to see it?
Here, give it to Matt. He'll eat it.
Matt ate a flower first. Flower too. He did.
The entire stem stock, flower head, and the leaflets are all edible, including the root too. These are great in wild salads. They're a little bit bitter, but they're tolerable in this time of the year because they haven't developed all those astringencies yet. It's super high in provitamin A. It has a suite of vitamins in it. B complex, E, D, C.
Going too fast, brother.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna go with vitamin rich.
They're
vitamin rich.
You're talking to basic students right now, so just kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really it stimulates the flow of bile through the gallbladder and things.
It's one
like
of the big
that.
things the rootstock's for.
Yeah.
The teas of the rootstock is really good for promoting the gallbladder. Really good for a tonic for the liver, blood thinner, blood purifier. I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, just dandelion. It's everywhere, right?
It's a diuretic, so it can actually
Tell you that, but that's something that you could research, Google, stuff like that. We try to get a little bit of a better example of the canoe here. If I can, yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, so this plant, one of the key identifiers is when it's in its rosette, it will form a canoe, basically, a channel on its stem.
What's rosette?
Like shape. This is a rosette.
Like
Sorry.
a rose shape, I guess.
Yeah, rosette on the ground. So what it does is it forms these canoes and channels.
It'd be good for collecting sap, huh?
Well, what it does is it funnels water straight into the root that way. So I mean that's a key identifier to this plant, though. But this plant's very edible. It's going to have like maybe a fungusy kind of mushroom to it. Mushroom taste.
Kind of hairy.
Yeah. It's got mushroomy taste.
Mushroom.
Give me a big piece.
Good.
He said, give me a
Wait a minute with it.
Is that
Yeah. Tastes like a mushroom to me, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah. Really edible.
Yep.
Medicinally, this thing is awesome for splinters, bee stings, things like that. It's antimicrobial. Sometimes people have used this as like, okay, I was just exposed to poison ivy. I know I was. The only thing around right now is plantain. They rub the heck out of that where you think the exposed area was. 9 times out of 10, it's going to cut that Arusha oil. But
tastes like a mixture of sunflower seeds and
yeah, I can see
mushroom.
that. Yeah, I can see that. But the way to use that is to the astringencies of that plant, especially later on in the year. If you get stung by a bee, same thing with the dead nettle. Crush it up. Sometimes even people will chew it as a poultice. I don't like doing that because you're exposing bacteria to the wound. I'll macerate it in my hands, pack it, the wound, or the bee sting or splinter. And that'll draw it to the surface. It'll draw venoms from bee stings and things like that to the surface. Help you pull that bee sting out, things like that. But
we put it on burns.
or you can put it on burns. We have definitely treated burns with that.
Shut up, Hammond.
Plant that we're gonna see unless me or Austin ADD's out and shows you something else. But
It'll probably happen.
it probably happens. This is trout lily.
I was about to ask you what all these little things were.
Trout lily. I'm gonna pass this one around so you guys can get the identifiers. The leaf, green leaf with a white background and red spots in it. These are young, so they don't have very many red spots in them. Yeah, that's the key identifiers.
Trout lily.
Trout lily. These are absolutely edible raw, and you can eat as many of as you want as long as you show me them first, please.
I got it.
How do they taste?
Sweet, pretty good.
It's a real tender leaf.
Little tender, meaty leaf.
Is there something
It's
that
a
looks
single leaf like that. That's how it grows?
Hmm?
Is that a mature plant?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no. This is
It's
starting.
all trout lily, right?
They have a
Actually,
yellow
you're good.
flower.
You're good. You're good.
What'd you say the real key identifier was?
That
Red
green
spot.
leaf, the white spots.
The texture is better than most of the leaves.
Yeah,
Oh,
real
yeah,
fleshy.
really good.
Fleshy,
fleshy,
yeah.
Sweet.
White spots.
That's good.
Now, when it grows a little bit more mature, it'll start getting purple spots on it.
I mean, it tastes like. Now what?
Oh,
Is this it?
Does
Yeah,
taste
take it
just like
Oh man.
Pretty similar, yeah.
you can have
cool.
this one.
Like that on it. Tastes like grass.
Just make sure you cover
Oh,
cold and
yeah.
cough systems.
I could eat it
stuff
all
like
day,
that,
though.
okay.
Okay.
Do you have it, or you want me to do it?
I like
You
the
should probably
texture
do it.
of
I'm still researching a lot about it.
You need to go.
We'll
Learn by teaching, brother. Learn by teaching.
Exactly.
Just tell them what you know. If you don't say something, I'm gonna say it.
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know some. Okay,
Let's go.
All right, so this is smartweed or lady's thumb. You can eat it raw or cooked. The key identifier on this is this purple V. Now this is of course in its really early stages of growth, but it'll normally have a leaf that's probably about as long as my index finger, and it's going to be it's going to look similar to the trout lily in a more spear type fashion, but it's good for colds and coughs. You can make cold water. You can make teas with this, infusions, and I'm sure you can extract the other phytochemicals through tincturing and things like that using.
Now talk about not overcooking.
I'm not really sure about. Can you extract other like tannins from it?
You don't want, okay. When we're preparing medicinals, if we're doing a decoction or if we're doing an infusion, those are two different things. If we're doing an infusion, there's two different infusions. There's a cold water, which means I'm dealing with a very sensitive plant. I don't want to heat that water up. I don't want to destroy those minerals. Or we're doing kind of a warm water tincture, or infusion, which means I can bring the temperature of that water up a little bit to extract the minerals that I want. So knowing your plants there, that's when that comes into play. This, I wouldn't heat up too much, and I definitely would not ever bring my water to a boil. For cold and cough symptoms, you're going to destroy the minerals that are in here that you're trying to extract. So just bring your water up to heat where you can probably put your finger in it and count to 10 and not scream bloody murder. Okay, and then go ahead and infuse your plants, handful of plants, in the hot water, warm water. Let it sit for probably 20 minutes, down the hatch. Cold and flu symptoms, stuff like that, it's gonna be really good for that. But yeah, what Austin was saying, this will grow up. The leaf can be sometimes this big, sometimes that big around or wide. And the key identifier is that lady's thumbprint right there.
It also has overlapping nodules on the stem itself. You can do your own research on that. I know it's hard to visualize it. And then the actual flowers will be purple, and they're kind of in an inflorescence shape where it's like a cattail stalk almost, and they work up the stalk. So
good job, buddy.
Off topic, but juvenile buckeye.
Mm-hmm.
Juvenile buckeye.
So an adult buckeye, right?
They're all through. Guys, over here. So what the little bonus feature of this class is a little test, and the winner gets this. It's a ferrocerium rod, not unlike this one. Okay, you guys want to pass it around? Basically what we're going to do is we're going to go up there to where Austin is. Okay, we're going to, he's up there. We're going to do a challenge, okay? Anyone that, he's going to show you how to do it. He's going to show you how to run a bow drill set. Anybody that gets a coal and then breathes that coal to life gets this ferro rod, with that ferro rod.
And then you won't have to do it again.
Then you won't ever have to do it again after you get that ferro rod.
The first one to do it, or what if everybody does it?
What if everybody does it? I'll give everybody something.
Back rub.
Yeah, back rub.
Back rub, feet rub.
I almost guarantee, well, basically I'm almost guaranteeing not everybody here.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's really.
you gotta try, right?
That's right. All right.
All right. You're up, man. Hey, Austin, is your timer on the board?
No. Here you go. Make sure you lock it.
So you're not supposed to have that on the ground, right?
The bearing block, nobody cares. Bearing block can do whatever you want.
Hey, you can spit on that thing.
Yeah, you can spit on that. Get your foot a little bit closer over to the spindle. That'll just hold your balance. Now I want your wrist. Yeah, your wrist needs to be locked in so it doesn't move. There you go. Good technique too. Make sure you're not dipping that bow down. Good job. Technique is solid. Technique's solid. Try adding just maybe a pound of downward pressure. Don't put that on the ground. Put that like in here. And way down.
Did you watch your language while Bobby's present?
I got Tourette's.
Tourette's.
Try to keep that spindle straight up and down.
What causes the string to move up and down the spindle? Moving
Bow
the bow,
dipping.
moving the bow.
Bow dipping.
Okay.
So keep that bow as straight as possible. Try not to dip it. A little bit more downward pressure. With this arm, downward pressure. Not a lot, because it'll cause it to slip. There you go. There you go. Alright, call that burnt in. Now watch out, you don't want that spindle to fly because it'll get wet. That's perfect.
Cut it, right?
All right, Austin. Let's get him a. That's cool.
Anything else?
The cut.